Why are we called Negroes? Why are we deaf, dumb, and blind? Why is everybody making progress, yet we seem to be lagging so far behind? Why are we mistreated? Why are we in this condition? Stripped of our name, our language, our culture, our God, and our religion. Here in America, all of our religious training has been gotten by the preacher. He has told us of a heaven way up in the sky that we can't enjoy now, but rather after we die. But
jamming again. I tell you, Sister Leela, I can't help it. But I can't help it. That intro, every time that intro.
It's still kicking butt, Brother Lau. I mean, I just find myself like, okay. Oh, you ready? Okay, it's sad. Okay. Well, listen, I wasn't here last week, but
and we miss you.
The hostess of the most at the beginning. Let's not wait till she gets started. Let's give the hostess of the most some love now. Give her love now.
Let's get it out of the way. Listen, good evening. Happy Thursday. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening. Greetings, everyone that's able to join us and hear us from either Facebook or YouTube or wherever you're listening to us. Listen, we thank you, and we are just happy that you're back. Anyway, we got a great topic. I mean, I don't want to get too far into it, but before we even get into that, y'all know what y'all need to do. You need to like and share.
That's right.
Now.
Right. It's not uncommon that we tell you this, but just go like and share because it's got good information coming, to you like right now. So anyway,
get your peoples.
I'm just saying.
Get your peoples.
There you go. You heard Brother Lau. Just don't get your peoples, okay? Anyway, welcome in. I'm your sister Michelle. I'm your moderator for this evening. And again, I am so happy it is Thursday and so glad we are back. And even though I missed last week, I saw and heard such a wonderful dialogue between the team and the sister that, of course, if you were listening or you went back and saw them down our page, you would have noticed who it was. But anyway, I digress. I'll let y'all see who's coming up soon, right? Anyway, before I leave and give it to Brother Lau, just please like, share. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. And, we bring it to you every Thursday. If we're not here, we're always bringing you something that makes sense. Okay, there you go, Sister Kalila. Always on time. Subscribe if you're on YouTube and join us on Facebook. So anyway, Brother Lau, listen, I'm good. I just want to thank everybody for being here and thank the team because, I always thank the team, the Southern Region Coalition, because we are still here.
That's right.
Hello.
2023 here. Come on.
Thank you, student brother minister Patrick Muhammad. That's right. So either way, Brother Lau, I'm going to give it to you this way.
Wow, I got it. I'm running. I'm not a runaway slave. one running to the fight for freedom, justice, and equality. I just want y'all to get that right.
That's right.
Thank you, beloved sister Michelle. And family, you know how we do around here. Assalamu alaikum to my Muslim brothers and sisters. Praise the Lord to my Christian brothers and sisters. Gawa Black Power to all you Black revolutionaries. And to all you peace and freedom loving people across the world that tune in to Thursday Night Talk. Peace and blessings to you. And while you're going to get your peoples, because you already know what's going on, particularly if you tuned in last week, you know it's part 2 of something. And man, it's part true of something. But I have to say this, you know, I was looking at the intro and all of those different topics and all of those different shows. I got a challenge to the audience.
Challenge.
You all know, let's be honest, we talking about cleaning ourselves up and starting a new year and all of that. Well, here's the challenge. I know you binge watch on your favorite television shows.
Heck yeah.
You watch one episode after another episode after another episode. I was looking at all of the different shows and topics that we've covered. You owe yourself this month a binge day on the material on the 7th Region Coalition. And I guarantee you, you'll come out with more than a college degree. I guarantee you. I'm just being honest, family. So don't forget to use the resources that we provided 2.5 going on 3 years now of motivation, inspiration, teaching, and training to save your life. I just remind you, think about people in the troubled times on that ship, and there's a lighthouse.
Wow.
And that lighthouse is bringing what we need, dear family, so that we can survive. I'm grateful for the 7th Region Coalition, this mighty team. I'm grateful for the topic we have tonight. And for all of you all who know you have people who are suffering, who are stuck, who can't get out of our own way, this is the show for them tonight. So while you're going to get your peoples, I'm going to turn you over to our beloved sister, Sister Khalila Muhammad.
Look, I can just grab right here, Brother Lau. Right. There you go.
It's like you're all the way back there and he's all the way up there.
Right. Listen, always starting off and forevermore in the most holy name of Allah. Always bearing witness that there is no God but Allah. And I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I would like to greet my brothers and sisters in the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum to my Christian family, cousins. I love and adore you, and I welcome you to this peaceful place, this peaceful place of healing, right? Because we always, talking about, this is what I'm gonna do, this, that, and but it has to start from it has to start in the healing place. And a lot of times, because we are so dormant in our reality, we don't know that it starts from healing.
Right.
So I'm not going to listen. If you don't have your paper and your pens right now, my suggestion is to get them right now.
Look. While you get your peoples, get your stuff.
Get your listen, because Sister Keisha is going to drop some bombs and jewels on you. Listen, after the show last week, I went and this started. Oh, let me tell you what Sister Keisha. I'm flipping the page for. Oh, let me tell you what else she said. Let me tell you what else she said. Let me tell you what else she said. I even got off the phone and talked to Sister Michelle. Oh, let me tell you what else she said.
You tried to do 1 through 10 in one night, did you?
What? I did, and it was so beautiful because I said, "I look." It was so nice. We had to do it twice, so I'm not going to belabor this opportunity for me to get some jewels because I'm not selfish. Because I want y'all to share the same experience that I did, and I'm going to pass the baton to my dear brother Tony.
Yeah, funny, man. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, the one God, to whom holy praises are forever due, the Lord of the worlds, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. I am forever thankful to Allah for the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I thank them both for the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Thursday Night Talks. beloved family, we are here.
That's right.
After 2.5 years of the Criterion message of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, still delivering quality programming under the leadership of the regional leadership of Student Minister Patrick Muhammad.
That's right.
We have organized this team, this coalition. We are extracting from the community the I'm not going to say valuable, but invaluable resources that could get us safely to the other side of this pandemic that we call, it could have been COVID-19, but we're dealing a lot more with other pandemics. We're dealing with white supremacy. We're dealing with self-hatred. We're dealing with poor self-esteem issues. We're dealing with mental health issues. We're dealing with health issues on all different levels.
Right.
We need to get free. And the best way to get free is to get the information that we are providing to you as the Nation of Islam and with this coalition that we are building. The Nation of Islam is not just a structural institution, which we call the Nation of Islam. It extends out to our people all throughout the world. And so we are seeking the unity that our people need in this hour. Brother Lyle, you said the word challenge. Well, it makes me think of the Cosby Show when the tap dancer was challenging Bill Cosby. So I'm gonna say it that way: challenge, challenge yourself to go through our video library and extract information to apply into your life.
That's right. So
that you could become much better in this hour. We thank you for tuning in here tonight. And this particular broadcast, just like last week, as we're going to be hearing from our beloved sister Keisha in just a minute, we're coming from the angle of the Ministry of Health, as these programs are now being brought to you through the ministry, the various ministries of the Nation of Islam. The Ministry of Health and Human Services is responsible for the health and well-being of the members of the Nation of Islam, registered and non-registered alike. We are one family. Physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, as individuals, families, and communities. Health is defined as that state of being of the individual and his family and community that is the fulfillment of the ultimate perfection, that is the intention of the Creator. And so no matter what name you call on the Creator, we're asking you to call on the Creator, put him at the forefront of everything that you do, and get the valuable information or invaluable information that you need to help save lives, beginning with your own. And so
how about that?
I pass it over back to you, Sister Michelle.
Okay, yes. So before I get started, do we have Keisha on? So I just want to make sure before I get her bio started.
Yes.
I see her in the dugout. Okay, all right. So let me get started.
And before you get started, Sister Michelle, can we do that pause for the calls for the video?
You got it.
All right. I am getting it on right now.
I just want you to get your mind right so you're ready for Sister Keisha. This is hard work, dealing with your emotional self, family.
You right, Brother La.
But we can't hear.
Let's unmute it.
There you go.
There you go.
So when we set out to do things that require struggle, there are these variations of emotions that become triggered. And as a result of it being triggered, we then develop improper attitudes. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, it is your attitude that will determine your altitude. And if you have an improper attitude toward misfortune, you won't get too high in the sight of God. Brothers and sisters, we must understand that anything we set our minds to accomplish, there will always be a difficulty factor attached to it.
That's right.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, the greater the goal, the greater the difficulty. And once we understand that, we can then bring the proper attitude to the task at hand. There are some individuals, brothers and sisters, that are so extremely talented. And many of them have come through my martial arts school's doors. And no matter how talented they may be, when the attitude is wrong, their growth and their development comes to a screeching halt. So they excel through the early belts, because the early belts of martial arts is purely based off of talent and whatever you're able to do, right? But then they reach a plateau in their development, where now it's not just you that's talented, everybody's talented, everybody's gifted, everybody can fight. So the question is, what do you do when the adversity or the difficulty or the struggle factor presents itself? And because the difficulty factor increased, it now required the student to bring a different attitude to the task at hand. But because of their pride, which is normally the case, which is an emotion, they are usually unable to bring the proper attitude to their training. Therefore, their wins begin to become fewer and fewer. And the next thing you know, Sensei, can I talk to you for a second? I think I got to take a break. I'm going to go try football, and I'm going to try not knocking, adventuring and trying and going into other sports, but at least overcome the difficulty factor. Because what we don't realize, brothers and sisters, is that as parents, sometimes, this is a side note, this ain't in my notes, but sometimes we do a disservice to our children. We allow them to get into gymnastics. We allow them to get into martial arts. We allow them to join the basketball team. And the moment difficulty presents itself, we get weak. Baby, you want to do something else? No, don't worry about it. We're looking to save money and pay a couple more bills. Not realizing that teaching them the principle of staying with something, overcoming the difficulty factor.
Right there.
All praises due to Allah. Is really prepared.
And that's what we want you to be prepared for tonight, family. Overcoming the difficulty factor of running away from dealing with your and my raggedy behind. My raggedy behind. I know y'all all right. And all the people y'all already went to get, they all right. Family, this is tough stuff. And for our sister to be courageous enough to help us through our emotional hurt to our best you, it's a powerful thing. So it's a great thing while you're getting your attitude right, and while you getting your people, and while you're listening to this beautiful, beautiful bio, and while you're paying your Cash App, 7 Reading Coalition.
Hey.
All right. Oh, that just dropped in there. It just like dropped in there, just like the second. Family, do like your part. StreamYard ain't a slave master, but we sure ain't free. All right?
That's right. That's right.
7 Reading Coalition. Support a show, support a year, support a month, support your people who love you here on the 7 Reading Coalition. And how about this beloved bio we're about to read? That's the Cash App. It should be in all of your phones by now. Some of you all tuning in every week and you ain't sent the penny yet. We still love you now. We still gonna keep coming. But family, help us get this work done.
Praise be to Allah. Well, let's get it moving. All right, let's read her bio, because this is going to be good for me. Woohoo! All right. So we have Keisha Kiba Bowers, and she is the founder of Movements for Change LLC, where she transforms lives one soul at a time. In 2014, Keisha had a vision of bringing emotional wellness to the world. This vision transformed into serving thousands from Ghana, West Africa, to Jamaica, and within the United States. Keisha operates an online healing sanctuary where souls from all over the globe come to her for emotional healing. Many are recovering from childhood trauma, inner child pain, self-identity struggles, and much more. During the pandemic, Keisha created an inter-child healing virtual program. In addition, she pursued her Reiki practice, becoming a level 3 Reiki master teacher. Keisha completed her master's degree in social work in 2008 from Florida Atlantic University and continues to learn in the University of Life. She inspires, she empowers, she unleashes. Extraordinarily, at walking others through radical transformation, she is relentless about her transformee's success, as she is her own. She is more than a coach. She's their champion, because she doesn't simply change lives, she expands them. Well,
My.
Well, let's bring her up.
Bring her on.
Hold on. There she goes.
Oh my gosh, thank you. This was fun. I'm so excited again to be here. Yeah. You listen, I get amped up about this healing. I know the conversation was rough, and I know I took everyone to a very, very dark place that they probably haven't explored, but it's so necessary, you know. Mm-hmm. And I really appreciate you all for bringing me on board and just allowing me to hold space with the family, the NOI, the FOI, just the family. Thank you.
Praises be to Allah. Look, Sister Keisha, I have a question before we even get to our questions. Now,
before we get to that, how you gonna do that, Sister Kalila?
I'm sorry, I'm biased because I'm a Keisha lover. So, so question now. We can contact you, but do you do personal sessions?
That's exactly what I do. So a little bit, because I know we didn't get into my work and what I do. So I have a free consultation that's by telephone that if you go to my website, you can select. It's a 15-minute phone call, 15 minutes. And along with that comes one-on-one sessions. I call them transformative healing sessions. Some people use the sessions for like lifetime work. Some people just come in maybe once a month. Some people need it every week. You know, I actually kind of rolled in a little later than I really wanted to tonight because I was wrapping up a session coming here. So, you know, it's just ongoing work that I'm doing. And then I have a program that I created, which you all mentioned, which is called Healing the Inner Child from Pain to Purpose, which is a 4-week group program. I work only with women in that program right now. Because that program was created as a testimony to my own healing. I created it as a result of what I had to do to get to where I am now in this work. So I call it From Pain to Purpose, because that's the goal. We are alchemists.
That's right.
Wow, you know, Sister Keisha, I have a confession to make, and it's a good confession. People think confessions are always bad.
Right.
After our show last week, I dug deep down in my heart, my mind, and my soul. And I sent last week's program to very specific individuals whom I love. And I know their struggles dealing with this pain and these emotional trappings from life, from childhood. And so I want to thank you for giving me a weapon where I could hurl truth and falsehood. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And another question: do you take insurance?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't right now.
All right. I'm just saying because
assurance right now. Assurance.
Right, assurance. Because the people in the back do have, insurance, and so they want to know, if you, hey, what that ID number. So okay. So praise God.
That brings up a perfect segue into one of the first questions that we can ask, because practitioners like our beloved Sister Keisha, they need to be recognized, because a lot of us we go to people who don't mean us well. And we got these new practices and these new procedures that are going on. And Sister Keisha, you even picked up a new procedure, Reiki, right?
I did. I picked up Reiki along the
experience and what that is and how it ties into this work.
I do want to say before we go further, because I am into providing resources, there is a resource called the Loveland, Loveland Foundation, where they cover a percentage of your session costs. A lot, yes. So anyone,
you should have said that slower. The love, Loveland,
the Loveland. So whether you chose to come to me or you go to someone else, they also have a list of resources, the therapists that are in their network and that kind of thing, and they pay for a large portion. And if I'm not mistaken, they're specific to melanated communities. So it is important. It is imperative. So
I'll put that in the chat.
Thank you. Yes. So, can you, Brother Lyle, can you remind me?
You're so full of these gifts and talents, and you're still learning. And we know you recently picked up a certification in Reiki. And I imagine a lot of people think we're talking about raking leaves or something like that.
So, Reiki came to me. My father transitioned in 2014. He was a Pan-Africanist, he believed in Black liberation. He walked hand in hand. He also had strong connections in the Nation of Islam in New York too. He was just a freedom fighter. And, when he transitioned, I wanted to connect with him and his spirit, because we were very, very close. Brother Tony actually has met my father. And you know him, but you have seen him, you've met him, he's been here, he's spoken, very powerful man. Yes. And someone invited me to a Reiki circle, and I was so intrigued by the practice of just laying hands. So it has this name Reiki because this man in Japan named Dr. Usui decided to take the practice and give it a name, right? However, it's something that has been in existence since we were doing it in Kemet, we were doing it in Africa. We've probably been doing this in all kind of indigenous practices. All it is what we call in the church the laying of the hands.
That's
it's
right.
Literally taking your hand. They call it weighted touch. Just like a hug. Why do we believe that hugs are so significant? The power of touch. And as you know, that 6 feet apart campaign was killing us.
Oh, it was, especially the sisters, because we couldn't do cheek to cheek. I was like, oh my God, I can't get my sister no love. Right.
Yes. We need that. That's an indigenous practice. So it has this name and it's called Reiki, and it's about connecting with universal life force energy, the divine, to lay hands on someone and allow that force to flow through them through the power of touch, visualizing a beam of light coming from your hands. When I got into the practice of Reiki, it made me very intrigued into understanding hitting a child, because the thing that you use to give love, you shouldn't use to cause pain.
Wait, the sound went out. You know how it happens around here, Sister
Keisha.
The sound just went out, and you have to say that again. You say that again, please.
The thing that you use to give love should not be used to give pain. Even if you got to take something up, if you really think you got to, because sometimes everyone has different perspectives. And if you feel like you have to take, but using your hand that you use to nurture, to cook food, to take care of the child, to iron their clothes, you should not be using to hit them and harm them.
Like an old switch back in the day.
Yeah, get something. Yeah, do it. You gotta do it. I mean, I don't subscribe. I'm not endorsing.
Right,
I'm not. But I'm just
Grandma's
saying.
Antenna, the switch.
Yeah, you gotta.
Right.
But don't use your hand. Don't do that direct. Because we're talking about energy, and now we're sending a mixed message about the energy that you store.
Wow. Sister Keisha, I was in a room I'm gonna come right to you, Sister Michelle, because I'm gonna forget this, and it's about the hug. I just happened this past Tuesday to be in a room full of Black men with young boys who live in foster group homes. And it just so happened to transition into a workshop on the value of a hug. And to see those young men, after they understood that, run to get a righteous hug and a righteous touch. It's healing. It's definitely healing. Thank you, Sister Michelle. I had to get that out.
No. Thank you, Brother Lau. I just wanted to, I've done Reiki before. I've done it a few times, and from a distance, and I honestly tell you, it does work. So I can absolutely tell you that's wonderful that you've added that to your kind of like your bag of arsenal, right? Against all the things that are going on with individuals. But I wanted you to talk a little bit about, because when we talk about emotional healing, I don't know if everyone realizes, right? It all stems in every area of your life. Your relationships with people, your relationships with your partner, your relationships at work, your relationships, everything it affects. So kind of talk to me about the value, the therapeutic value, right? Of how you can maybe start the journey, right? Of starting to identify some of the things that are happening to you, and then kind of move to some kind of a purpose, right? Kind of just taking the next steps to get yourself into a better place.
Sure. And it's nice to meet you, Sister Michelle. Last week, I didn't get a chance to hold space with you. So I heard your name getting called.
Yes.
Okay. So we spend the rest of our adulthood getting over our childhood.
That's a mic drop.
Did it again.
Oh, dog.
Did it again. We spend the rest of our what?
Adulthood getting over our childhood. And
Right.
we don't give credit and acknowledgement to the value of the first 7 years of our lives. When we're in that theta mode, when we're actually downloading everything, when we are learning how to be in the world. When you meet someone who's very defensive, we have all met that. I was once that person, right? I was, I'm putting my hand up. I had showed up that way because I had learned in my environment that I wasn't safe and I needed to prove my worth. So when I felt someone was challenging my worth, I showed up in a very defensive way. So I'm connecting it to Sister Michelle's question. I needed to invest in my emotional development so that I can eradicate that. So I could put that to the side and really show up fully. It all boils down to how you feel. Your emotions are your energy in motion. And so I always tell people, it's never about the other person. It's always about you. It's always about you.
Come on.
If you are repeating a story of injustice, someone did this, someone did, and this is why I love the Nation of Islam, because what you teach in the entity is that we have the power to master our own destiny. You all really, and my husband and I were talking about, I have to say this because we were watching the video from last week, and my husband said, honey, you know what it is with the Nation of Islam, the Marcus Garvey principles are the foundation. And that's what it was really about. But when we are trapped in this idea, because Western society tells us, you know, you have to do this to get that. You have to, spirit is not accounted for in this world.
Come on.
So all of these emotionalities that are these issues of like, you know, they've been streamlined from like our experience in the slave trade to what's been taken from us. A lot of we have to recognize how much this stuff has been passed down and taught to us. And in the Jamaican, you know, my family's Jamaican, and they say if you lie with dog, you rise with fleas.
Yeah, Mom.
Who's the dog? What is the dog energy that we are amongst? We use this language like narcissism and this. We didn't know nothing about that.
No, very new word.
Of us. That is not of us. We are a people of spirit. We are a people of, you connect with the sun, you honor the divine, you know, you connect, right?
Right.
We have adapted some really funky things that we need to detox from.
We're not ourselves. Sis.
We're not ourselves. Let me tell you something about a psychological evaluation. I used to do psychosocial assessments when somebody comes in for help. And, you know, I used to work for these agencies when I used to work in, you know, for other people. You know, I'm self-employed now. But memory is the number one sign of the loss of the mind. When someone does not know who they are, we know for sure that they need deep psychological. That's the number one. So we have questions that we ask to orient the person to what we call time and space. And in the paperwork, if the person is oriented, in your notes, I'm giving y'all intel to therapeutic notes. You put 3 times oriented. What does 3 times mean? They were oriented to where they are. They were oriented to who they are. They were oriented. They knew where they were, who they were. They understood their name. We don't act collectively as a people. We are still in a state of disorientation. We need to remember, be put back together.
Right.
Like that Syncova type.
Sankofa.
Thank you, Brother Tony. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Like the Sankofa. Or understanding self-sufficiency, preparing our own, growing our food, all of the dynamics that, you know, those help us to come back together as a people, to be whole.
That's right.
Right? So all of that affects our emotional health. Now, we do know, and I kind of touched on this last week, because when we talk about collectiveness and community, a lot of times people come into, especially religious communities, you know, because they're craving. They may have come from a family that was broken, and they're looking for a communal family. So sometimes when people come into communal settings, they bring some of the baggage from that pain body. So despite the spiritual foundation, they may still be showing up a certain kind of way, struggling, and that might be connected to their emotional pain. So I think it's important for communities to understand when someone is showing up a certain way, what it might be connected to.
So don't be so quick to actually identify, you know, the person. You have to really look at the characteristics of where it's coming from.
Yes, thank you. Okay. And we tend to want to do that. We tend to want to be, oh my God, I don't know. You think they are right? You don't know what happened to them. So the question is not what's wrong with you. The question is what happened to you.
So, Sister Keisha, I have to ask this question because you said something very clearly, that no matter what we're experiencing pretty much in our adulthood, if it's negative and emotionally effective, there's a connection to our childhood. How do you explain that to someone who, as an adult, has been abused, or as an adult has suffered a tragic loss of someone being taken away from them? How do you explain that the way that we deal with our current pain and tragedy ties and latches on to that original source of pain in childhood?
Well, the first thing is the body keeps the score. Okay. We are on autopilot. We do what's familiar. We connect to what's familiar. So the relationships that we have, they all mimic what we've experienced, because I teach that we have what I call make nice antennas. They're invisible. You can't see them. We all have them. And this is why healing is important, because your antennas will attract whatever is new for you now in your radar.
That intuition.
But if you, so these antennas say, oh, I need to find a match because I want to fix. I want to make nice. I want to get it right this time around. So I want to connect with the dysfunction. So if you have abandonment, let's go to what I'm referring to. If you have an abandonment wound, if you grew up where your father wasn't there, your mother wasn't emotionally available, people came in and out your life, you just have this deep fear that people are going to leave you, you're going to connect with people who are emotionally unavailable. Always. It's a sure sign. You're going to always need to relive that chaos. And then you get on the phone and you say to your friend, oh my God, yeah, because she did that. It's not just intimate relationships, platonic, everything. So you get on and you say, can you imagine? I helped her. I did this for her. She didn't even call back. She didn't say thank you. You don't want to entertain that conversation. You want to say to that person, why don't you check in with some things from your childhood? Because if we are replaying this thing over and over again, it's because we need it. We become addicted to what's not good for us.
Healing, Sister Keisha, healing is not avoiding the things that have brought us pain in our life. It's confronting those pains and the causes of those pains. That's how we could begin the healing.
Very true. We have to confront it. But we culturally are conditioned, and I'm saying culturally because I'm talking about Western culture, America.
Yes, ma'am.
We're conditioned
which we have adopted.
Thank you. So I say we because I'm up in here, right?
Right.
And I'm healing too because it's not a destination. So we are conditioned to want to be perfect. We live in a culture that says if you go on a job interview, you better dress right. You got to answer the questions the right way. There's no room for authenticity, and authentic power, right? So when we become into this space to become aware of what we need to heal, nobody wants to look at themselves. Nobody wants to look at their imperfections. Nobody wants to be held accountable and to own that they may have done this thing because now you're imperfect. Now you're flawed.
You know, you touched on something, Sister Keisha, and it's a lot of times when you're dealing with that imperfection thought, that's where a lot of your anxiety comes in, and that's where a lot of suicides come in, because they have, you know, been put on this pedestal, so they have to always maintain this pedestal status, and when they feel like they're not worthy of that pedestal, they again to fall victim to their own demise within just like, you know, self-destruction.
It's true. It's true. You become you become addicted to this high, right? But the thing about this is that nobody's perfect. We all have something to learn. We all have something to learn. And there's no place that's fostering that. You know, we want to get it right. We want to fit in, but you can't discover who you are trying to fit in
somewhere else.
Somewhere else.
Wow. You know, Sister Keisha.
Well, I'm sorry, Brother Lau, but what makes it worse is the social media age,
where
we present all the good things on social media, but mind you, it's nobody's business. You know, whatever we're going through personally. But when we become addicted to social media to the point where we're just presenting all the good things that are happening, but we're not discussing with ourselves all the bad things that are happening, and we're living in this la-la land. Like, well, let me keep going back to, it's like a drug. Let me keep going back to social media because it looks like I'm okay there.
Yep. I can hide behind that mask.
Hours and hours and hours there, and not hours with myself.
And you know what it is you're getting a dopamine hit with every like, with every heart.
Come on.
It's actually, you're getting high. You're getting high, and that every time it gets higher and higher, you need more and more. So we have to think about ourselves in regards to the function of the brain and how we release certain hormones and what those hormones do to our body.
Man.
Speaking of that, Sister Keisha, if I can, I was listening to you and you were describing us to a T. And I look at the rise and the role of medicine in making us run further and further away from dealing with our reality. What's been your experience with patients or clients or people who've come to you for support, and they may have been depending on that? My initial take would be that they probably were alleviated from having to use it all together after dealing with it.
Social media?
No, medication.
I have not, to be honest with you, Brother Lau, I have not. I have stepped away from that arena in my work, which is why I stepped down from being with these organizations when I was once in because I used to be a part of that culture where I had the DSM-4 and I had to diagnose. I wanted to create my own way of helping people connect with their self, with their spirit, right? So I have not been in the area of working with medication. What I will say is that you have some people who have, you know, the nature of their brain is in a way where the medication helps their brain to flow so that they can function in the society. But I know, like, I went to Africa and they didn't have a word for depression. When I went to Ghana, they said that they bring the person outside in the sun and they dance with them and sing to them. And I think that, you know, we need to return to community. That's really essentially how I look at what healing needs to look like. We need to return to community.
Right. So that was my point, that I would imagine that there's some people who come to you for service who may even be dependent on medication. And I would imagine after they experience that decreases.
Absolutely. What happens, what I tell people all the time, you're not suffering from depression, you're suffering from capitalism.
God, dog. Sister Keisha.
Yeah.
Somebody missed that one.
Yeah, you're not suffering from depression, you're suffering from capitalism. We live in a society that removes us So many people are going through this experience where they feel detached from their selves. They don't know what it means to be in their body because the body has been so materialized. So of course you're going to be depressed because when you're alone and you don't have the phone and you got to go take a shower without things and you don't have distractions, what happens? It's scary what you got to see because you've been running from yourself for so long. So what happens is that people begin to feel connected and they start to feel real again. They start to feel like a person and not a machine. That is what talk therapy, connecting with someone who can make you feel like a human being, where you don't have demands, unrealistic expectations. We don't have ease and compassion anymore.
You know, Sister Keisha, you hit something inside me when you said that, and it can be as simple as me knowing, me even applying at sometimes, but there is sometimes that little glimpse of just capitalism comes in when I work hard, you know, I'm at the gym, I'm working. And all of a sudden something just seeps in and say, Kalila, you too big.
Yep.
Kalila, you need to do this, or you need to do that. You need to work on this, or you need to work on that. And maybe the reason why you're feeling like this is because of that. Maybe if you try this, maybe that won't happen. And it happens because, again, environment. Environment. And the thing is, sometimes your environment is not as strong as you. So you have to create a stronger environment for you to become a stronger person. When you start feeling comfortable in your environment, you need to move to a different environment.
And not to mention the global environment, like the you know, we're dealing with white supremacy.
Right.
We're dealing with a lot of
capitalism.
Which is right.
Thank you.
Business done at the expense of other people.
Thank you. Thank you. That's what I'm talking about. It's natural to feel depressed.
That's right.
You know?
So Keisha, let's do this.
Okay, go ahead, Sister Michelle, because Keisha has some another top 10 for us.
Come on now. That's what I want.
This evening too. Go ahead.
All right, so I have to ask this question because this tends to happen a lot, especially with individuals that are very emotional. I guess give me some, or maybe not just give me some, because I'm interested, because I see this a lot with a lot of individuals, even with my children. When someone is always emotional based upon the trauma that they've experienced in their childhood, what is the best advice to take it from, you know, when they're at 10 to take it to 0, or take it at least down, right? So they can recognize where they are and to adapt at that moment to the environment that's around them so that they can bring it down. Because that happens a lot. A lot of it, we get emotional and we just fly off the handle and we don't know how to take it down. Yeah, come back.
I want to say that anything to do with emotions, it's important to allow the person to go through it. If we're uncomfortable with how they're showing up, we have to check in with ourselves. If somebody is emotionally in distress and they're falling apart, we have to allow them to. I think the best thing you can ever do is say to the person, you can do this. It's okay. You can cry or scream, or that, just give them permission. That's the first thing that I would say. Now, if we're talking about someone having a suicidal ideation now that's something else, you know, right. That's a different, but if someone is having like an emotional breakdown, they're falling apart for something, or they're very emotional, I think that we all are emotional. We just don't tap into our emotions. I think we don't allow ourselves to express it. I think there are two emotions that are common that we are constantly running from, but we live with, and it's shame and guilt. I think that shame and guilt are cousins, and we need to ask ourselves, what makes us feel shame? What are we embarrassed about? What makes me want to hide? These are important questions that'll help you get closer to yourself.
Wow.
So, family, if you haven't figured out now that there's help waiting for you, if you haven't figured out now that there's a way out of the madness that we trap ourselves in, we have a jewel right here now. And I don't want out of some more direct pointers on what people can actually do now. So now you have been forewarned. You have now been awakened. So, Sister Keisha, walk us through some things that we need to do or invest in.
Okay, before we do that, can we do this question, Sister Peggy? Yeah, Sister Peggy has a question.
Okay,
in the audience.
I'll bring it back up.
Okay. Yeah, I read the question too in the chat. I am not familiar with emotional CPR. It sounds good. I took a course called Emotional CPR. It is a strategy designed to assist others through an emotional crisis. No, I'm not familiar with that strategy.
Okay.
I'm not familiar.
All right.
But we thank Sister Peggy for her question.
All right. So take us through that. Ooh, I took
it up.
So what I brought was 10 things that helped me improve my life. And they were very immediate. I told a little bit about my story in the last session. And so these were 10 things that really helped to bring transformation in my life. Not perfection, y'all. The goal is progress, not perfection. Okay. So the first thing is I stopped waiting for permission to be, do, or have what I wanted in life. How often do you ask for permission? And we ask for permission in very subtle ways by not taking action.
Explain that. Break that one down.
So a lot of times we don't believe we're worthy of what we really want. So we sabotage ourselves. And then it helps us to blame others.
Yes.
It helps us to blame others. Okay.
That is true.
So when we are operating from inaction, then it means that you want to become a victim.
Back to that victim.
The victim role is comfortable. It's comfortable for you because then it's someone else's fault. Right. So stop waiting for permission. Do the thing that you want to do. Number 2, I started to believe in myself for real, though. I have like in bold for real, because we say that in a cliche way. Like, yeah, no, I believe in myself. I believe in myself. But number 1 and 2 are connected, because if you believe in yourself, then you're going to do the things that you're ultimately afraid to do.
So how'd you know it was for real and it wasn't for play or for fake? How'd you know?
Because I stopped being a hypocrite. If in my past life.
Time out. Something just happened. The screen just blew up, or something just surfaced. Could you stop?
You're gonna make it say it again.
A hypocrite.
And
you ain't feel that, family.
That's being true to herself.
I have to,
because a lot of people don't like being hypocrites.
Yeah, but I was a hypocrite because I said what sounded good because I needed to be loved. I didn't love myself, but the life that I lived, if you had a hidden camera, it wasn't in alignment with how I showed up and what I said. So now that I'm true to myself, you know, like I really do grow herbs and use them to cook my food, and I really do read these things, and I really do homeschool my kids, and I really do, you know, like I'm for real, like living this life. But before it was not for real because I didn't believe in myself. I thought that I needed to show people. And a lot of us, I'm comfortable with saying this out loud because most people are living like that.
We got to get to number 3 before I step on myself a little bit more here. I don't want to step on myself. Let's get to 3.
Number 3, I became true to my wellness lifestyle. I remember being the most unhealthy vegetarian.
That's an oxymoron.
Alert, vegetarians, alert, listen up.
When you're eating Twizzlers, hey, that's vegetarian.
Trust me, I was that kind of, you know, and I was unhealthy. And so I started to be true to that too, you know, just really. So wellness doesn't mean you have to be a vegetarian, but I'm saying, like, do you work out? What are your thoughts? Do you assess your thoughts? How do you feel? Do you check in with those feelings? Do you, if you don't feel good, do you have things that you do to uplift yourself, or do you like to be stuck and not feeling good? Right? Number 4, this one was a big one in my life. I let go of relationships with people who wanted to manipulate me and use my vulnerability to their advantage.
Sister Keisha, how did you identify?
Yeah,
that's hard.
It's still a work in progress, but the more you say no, the more you find out who is for you and who's not.
Facts.
Because if you say no and they're upset, but if you're always saying yes, then you don't know who is who.
Listen, but sister, when I say I lost so many people, ain't friends, people, just by saying no. And I love it. Oh my God. My phone is less, it rains less. I have less communication with people because I said no. I would not be able to do it and didn't have a reason why. I just said no.
No reason. People love chaos though. Most people enjoy chaos.
Yes.
Does it give us a reason to complain, Sister Keisha?
Yep, it gives us.
And are we addicted to complaining oftentimes?
Yes, we are. We're very addicted to complaining. And that's a huge red flag, you know. But we're very addicted to complaining. When we were children, that's how we got a lot of our way.
Boiled something brat.
As we are growing, Sister Keisha, just had
this conversation with myself. Just had a conversation.
Good.
I'm gonna say this because this is in reflection of what something student minister Patrick said in one of his lectures. He asked the question, do you pray more than you complain? Because when we grow and evolve, see, when you're a child, you complain as a child, but after a certain point, that complaining needs to be thrown out the door. And we have to align our mind with Allah, with God, with Jehovah, with Dios, and understand what our true purpose is in life.
That's
These are trials that are put in our way. God wants to know, what are you going to do with these trials? What are you going to do with this trouble that's headed your way? How much power and force is in you? Are you going to just sit there and complain?
Brother Tony co-piloting this journey tonight.
I couldn't help myself.
Look, where we going fast? I don't want to miss the rest of these.
I started to say no without feeling guilty.
Come on, beloved.
I started to say no without feeling guilty. So practicing no without an explanation, practicing no. And the first time I tried to do this, it was uncomfortable. That's how I knew I was coming from a very hurt, toxic, dysfunctional place, because I would feel bad. I would think, oh my God, am I a bad person? Sometimes we go through this imposter syndrome where we think we are the bad person because we're so conditioned to take care of others. We're so conditioned to make sure other people feel safe at the cost of your own safety.
That is true. That is true. It's so.
I got to take a commercial break because you did it again. Hit a nerve. I got to talk to the people for a second out here. You hit a nerve. You just perfectly described so many of our grandmothers that have raised their children.
Come on.
Raised their children's children.
Come on.
Raised their children's 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 children. And it's become a culture and a way of life for us to dump that on our beloved women.
That's right.
We need to cut that out, family.
And look, and on another scenario, stop being mad when nobody don't want to accept your friend request on Facebook. I'm so tired of hearing those threads. I mean, it'd be like, oh, I was checking my friend request and I noticed that a lot of people that that was my friends ain't my friends no more. Okay, they made room for other people.
Yes, they did.
Trivial or trifling or both.
But you know what? When that's showing up, what we're observing is someone dealing with an abandonment wound.
Teach.
So now it's more like, well, why does this rub you the wrong way? What about them not accepting your friend request? What about that is rubbing you the wrong way?
Right.
How does that feel to you? When did you experience? Why is this so familiar? These are the questions we want to encourage others when they're showing up in that way. You know, these are the things that we want to encourage them to do.
Sister Keisha, we have to ask the question, how is that relationship break related to other relationship breaks in our lives that have caused us to feel this way in the present? And if we're not careful, continue to feel that way in the future.
Yeah. There's a gentleman that I listen to, Dr. Joe Dispenza. I love his work, but he says, if you are deeply attached to the past in this way, then you can't create a vision for the future.
Teach.
So you're really psychologically under like an arrested development.
Stuck.
You're stuck. You can't evolve. You can't grow, and you can't become your higher self.
5.
Now we on 6.
We on 6,
but last.
I must be stuck. I'm that person we've been talking about. That's me right here.
5 was saying no with no explanation. Go ahead.
Look at her taking notes over there.
Number 6. I wrote this on my birthday in 2020. I was born on November 7th, 11/7/2020. That's when it's dated. I learned to be honest with myself about my own toxic character traits. This meant no longer pointing the fingers on others.
So we all have toxic characteristic traits.
Yes, we do.
Can you identify some of those that we all may have in common, or just?
Absolutely, I sure can. And y'all know I'm very transparent. So a lot of times, if you have a pain around being accepted, right, you'll get upset if somebody, so being upset or demanding that other people reach out to you, but you don't want to reach out to others. You know, that's something right there. Procrastination, never doing the thing that you said you were going to do, you know.
Just keep delaying it because you don't want to go through the pain of going through the process
of making a mistake and being imperfect. So you rather not, you know, or just doing things that are comfortable and then having resentment and bitterness, not just to yourself because you never did what you said you wanted to do, but to others who are doing what they said they were going to do. We like to use the word jealousy. I'm not going to go that far, but that, you know, that's what it looks like. It looks like being very envious about somebody else's progress because you just wouldn't do the thing that you said you were going to do. You know?
Wow. Well, a lot of people like that. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
7. I bet I was right that time, Sister Michelle, right? Number 7.
Yes, you were. Yes, sir. Number 7.
So number 7, I said, oh, yes, I stopped pointing my fingers at everyone else. Accountability became my friend. So, I know for me personally.
Slow down. That was too fast. You got to say number 7 again. That was too
I
fast.
said, because it's connected to number 6. I said, oh, yes, I stopped pointing my fingers at everyone else. Accountability became my friend. So I was a runner. I was someone who only liked to do things until I could tolerate it and then move on to the other thing. I never mastered anything because I didn't like accountability. I didn't like to, you know, like for me, getting a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, those were easy accountabilities. I'm a smart person. I'm smart. That was easy. That's practical. Anybody could go to school. That's what I tell people all the time. Anyone could go to school and get a degree. All you gotta do is do what they said to do, get the book, read the thing, take the test, and then you're done. But true accountability is like, my husband and I, we host a tour to Africa. We are responsible for groups of people at a time. And we're on our 4th year. We're leaving to Senegal and Gambia in March. We have a group of 17 people in this group, but that's real accountability for me.
Sister Keisha, you can't be dropping that you sponsor trips to Africa on our people like that. and don't remind them that they can go too?
Yep, they sure can. It's so exciting. I'm so excited. We're leaving March 10th to Senegal and Gambia. We are going to the oldest mosque in the western part of Africa, in Senegal. I'm very excited about that. Y'all know a little of my history. My uncle was in the Nation of Islam. I grew up, deeply rooted and connected to the teachings of Farrakhan and Elijah Muhammad. So I just, I feel like by proxy kind of stuff. I'm just, yeah. So, this is what we do, but that was real accountability for me. It was me going through, making mistakes, being human, not being fake, not showing a front, and so I stopped pointing the fingers at everyone else. And number 8 was also very big. I said, I started to trust my intuition. I became closer to my spirit self. It's who I call my big S.
Take a moment to tell people what intuition is and what it's not.
So what it's not is making assumptions and thinking you're right.
Come on.
That's what it's not. What it is what you feel in what I call the real third eye. That's your gut. And listening to it and trusting it. Trusting that it's going to yield the result that is in divine alignment. That is because we could go with what we want, but like, I quit my job in 2015. I had nothing. I didn't have a client. I had nothing except my drive, like my passion for my work. And I knew there was something in me, but I trusted my intuition. I knew that something was coming. I didn't know what, I didn't know how, but sometimes that faith, when we talk about a mustard seed, it really, really has to be of such, it really has to be that, that you're taken care of by this divine being and that everything is going to work out just the way you want it to, You
actually got me smiling now, waiting for number 9. That means I must be going through some healing right now. I was feeling a little bad for a minute.
The first I was.
The number 9 is connected to number 8. I learned to commit to the spiritual lifestyle of my choice. A spiritual foundation is very needed to become grounded and rooted.
I like that. I like that. And
I missed that. I have to be honest. I missed that. I want to fake like I'm perfect and I caught it. Because I'm human and I'm real.
And he's healing. And he's healing.
I learned to commit to the spiritual lifestyle of my choice. A spiritual foundation is needed to become grounded and rooted.
And look, spiritual
grounding, right? Spiritual grounding.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It has to be the base to everything that we do.
Everything.
Look, let me tell you how important that is, because I was born in the Nation of Islam, right? At the age of 19, I went and I practiced a lot. I practiced, Christianity. I practiced Hinduism. Even practiced a little, Buddhism. I practiced a lot of those, right? And it was like something that was like empty. I felt empty. And I'm not, putting anything past those religions. Those are very beautiful religions for those who they're for.
Mm-hmm.
But when I came back to the nation, God started sculpturing me to who he wanted me to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt it because I felt pain. I felt the pressure. But I knew that this pressure was something of good.
Mm-hmm.
Like God was creating this diamond that was hidden for a very long time when I came back.
Yeah.
Keisha, could you take a quick moment to give people who have been hurt by attempting to find their spiritual walk a little bit more confidence not to give up on it?
Yeah, don't give up. Don't give up. I love that Sister Kalila said she felt that pressure, because the pain is the gateway to the light.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on teach.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we run from discipline.
Oh!
We don't want it oftentimes.
I wanted it bad.
We want to get there.
I wanted it bad. I went through a lot. I wanted it bad.
Yeah. It's like almost bringing me to tears because I understand, you know, it's the gateway to the light. We are afraid of discipline. We're afraid of somebody else telling us. And I know that's what was showing up in my life. You know, I thought I knew and I didn't want nobody telling me. And, you know, I was just covered in all this trauma and it became like you know how you see the people them in the night suit with that metal armor?
It's a mask.
Yeah. And yeah, like
absolutely.
Yeah. And it was holding me down. It was holding me down. So don't give up, but you got to let go of that armor.
It's too heavy.
Too heavy.
Well, you holding us down in a whole nother way. And once we get this next number 10, family, we're going to have a full framework. No excuses.
All right.
The last one would be probably triggering for anybody who, you know, I'm going to say it, but I said probably the most important of all the steps. I learned the art of setting some people free with love.
You learned. I'm sorry.
Michelle, let me say you doing a brother loud. Are you doing a brother loud?
I just want to make sure I got that. Learn the art of
setting people some people free with love. I was very resentful. I was very very hurt. I wanted a mother. I wanted a mother who was lovable, was loving, who didn't criticize me, I didn't see her for her pain. I didn't understand that she wasn't capable. I felt like she, you know, a child, like a baby, you know, like you didn't take, you took this wasn't given. I should have had this. And I didn't realize that the love that I had from source, from God, from whichever name we called our source, that love was greater. And that in the eyes of the divine, my mother is really like my sister. We're the children of source. So I was putting this, you know, this thing, and I had to set her free, because not only was I a bondage to the pain, but I made her a bondage too. I made her a prisoner.
How did you know when you did that? What did it feel like? What did it look like in your life?
It's still happening now. So I can tell you, like, you know, my mother is not like an active part of my life. She's a part of my spiritual life because I still pray for her. I still send her love. I still love her, you know, but she's not in my life physically. But like, I can say that out loud and I don't want to cry. I don't feel bitterness. I don't feel anger. I don't feel like mad. I don't feel like, you know, I feel peace. I've never had that. I never had that. But the spiritual path to myself is just, it brought on this sense of peace for me. I don't have words, but like, you know, the idea of seeing her doesn't make me feel sick to my stomach. Like, those feelings create dis-ease in our bodies.
That's right.
You know, it's not good for us, but I had to go through it to get here. I had to.
Sister Keisha, I remember when I'm sorry for interrupting, but I remember just in what you're talking about right now. I remember having a high school teacher, and she always saw me like being sad in my discussion about my father, because he wasn't there for a good portion of my upbringing. As many of our young Black and Latino men, we could say that our fathers oftentimes are not in our lives. She told me, stop trying to make your father to be someone who is not. Forgive him and just keep working. That's going to heal over time. But you have to mend that relationship. You're going to have to take an active part, but you have to stop trying to force somebody to become someone that they're not. Sometimes we experience family in our own lives that we're not supposed to judge our parents, but sometimes we experience family members that are examples of how not to be, and they serve for us to become better. We don't judge them. We don't condemn them. We don't put them down. We thank God. We thank Allah. We thank the Creator for their vital role in producing us in our lives, having some type of part in our lives. But we cannot force them to be someone that they're not.
You can't.
And that's part of healing.
Well,
family, how do you say that? You have a point. You have
I was gonna say, Brother Lau, I'm about to see. I was listening, so I'm gonna give the audience a treat because I was taking notes, and I'm gonna pass it on so you can see it.
Oh, look at you!
I'm saying, they're gonna have to come back and listen.
Saviors plural. Saviors plural.
Hold on, it's coming.
Oh, look at that! Hercules! Oh, praise it to Allah! That is wonderful for the people in the back.
Got it. So, Sister Keisha, you know the condition of our people. You know the condition of our community. And let's say that this is the one final opportunity where you have their full, undivided attention. What do you want them to know?
Ooh, I would like everyone to know that it is safe to surrender, that you don't have to be in control. You don't have to have it right because you are loved no matter what. And it is okay to surrender. It is okay to admit that you have some things that needs to be healed in your life, in your mind. It is okay. Make a shameless inventory. That's what I call it. A shameless inventory. Write out the things that you know are showing up in the form of patterns in your life. And give it your attention. You know, we can give attention to everyone else. We can call out what other people did and what they didn't know and how horrible they were and but we need to check in with you. Check in with yourself and make a shameless inventory. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Don't, it's not worth it. And then make sure you have someone you can trust to go to, because digging these things up and making the shameless inventory, you're going to fall apart. You may cry sometimes and you may need someone to listen to you. And
Sister Keisha, just changing subjects just a little bit, but we're still on the topic of healing. In a Kwanzaa program with Sister Nzinga that you were featured on very recently, we haven't addressed this topic. I'm very arts and culture driven.
Now, Brother Tony, you're not starting another show, are you, brother? I'm just checking.
Oh,
in.
No, sir, beloved.
Sound like you're starting another show, brother.
No, sir. My question: how important is it to, as you're talking about healing the inner child? How important? So oftentimes, when we're dealing with painting and coloring and things of that nature, that's viewed as being childlike. Some people will beg to differ. How important is it to incorporate those type of artistic aspects of self in our everyday, every week, every month routine of our lives?
Very important. Very important. We are art. We're design. That's who we are naturally. They say drink water because you're 75% water. You need to consume who you are, what your makeup is. We are a work of art. And that's a universal language. Yeah, we keep hearing, you're 75% water. You should drink more water. Drink water. Well, you're also a work of art.
Come on.
So we need to incorporate. And, real quick, I'll leave you all with this gem. A really fun activity that you can do to really tap into yourself, your non-dominant hand. So if you're right-handed, you use your left hand. You get some crayons and a piece of paper, and you draw a picture of who you are
You don't want to see that.
Yeah, that's going to take you back to your theta, to that, because you don't have to. This is where you're right. You're in training with your hand if you're right-handed. You're trained to do this.
Right. You'll master that.
You'll master that, but you're not trained to do the other hand. So you want to get into where you're not thinking too deep. You could just kind of go. And so
shameless art.
Yep, shameless art, freestyle. You draw a picture of who you are on the inside. Your inside self. When you think of your person on the inside, what do you see? And draw that. There's some other parts to this, but that's a good beginning. Draw that part of yourself.
Wow, this is beautiful.
Well, I know we've given our information on running across the screen again, where our brothers and sisters can tap into this divine resource that Almighty God Allah has given us in Sister Keisha. And I know y'all been getting fed tonight, but you can't eat it all just in one evening. So how can folk meet you again, Sister Keisha?
My website, Mind Movements, and I have it in my name. So if you put it, because I know I can't type it, but Mind Movements with an S for change.com. And anywhere online at Movements for Change, YouTube, Instagram, all over, I'm there. But mindmovementsforchange.com. I am here. I'm ready. I have my consultation, my free consultation that I offer, and I'm, open to. And I will say that I have worked I have had I don't use the word clients. I researched that word. I'm into etymology, and a client is someone who does not know how to lead themselves.
This is just the opposite, right? This is just the opposite.
Client is a follower. Yep. So I work with, I call my community Transformees. And I have actually worked closely. I've had people in community globally, in the Nation of Islam. So I think that's what makes everyone so comfortable with me, because I'm, melanated and I'm culturally grounded, and so I thank you all for sharing. That's the information right there.
Love it.
That's the way to get to me.
I'm on the website right now. Looks beautiful.
We have been fed and well led. That should lead us right into the tree of the week.
Oh, yes. So,
long, Sister Kalila.
Yes. Okay. All right. Tree of the week. The tree of the week today is adopt self-healing. Now, these are beautiful techniques, and I think that, Sister Keisha done stole my stuff. I'm just kidding. I'm just saying, Sister Keisha. But adopt self-healing. Again, we have to learn how to adopt self-healing, because self-healing is the one that's going to bring us to the pinnacle of success while this world goes down. So how do we do that? First of all, we definitely need to start with, it helps you control your thoughts and emotion. Self-healing also works by giving us control over our thoughts and emotions. So when you adopt self-healing, you adopt self-control, and you adopt emotional breakdowns. So that is one technique. The other one is, when you adopt self-healing, you will stop complaining. When a person is not healed, you experience more pain. You experience more complaining. The less you complain, the more you start accepting that self-healing that you have adopted. Third, it will cleanse your body, meaning that it starts from within. Right. Once it starts from within, then it will resonate out. And then that energy and that activation will evolve around other people. Energy transforms. Okay. Fourth, it's required minimum effort and it requires minimal efforts, and it saves on medical bills. Listen, when you start working on yourself at the house, you don't have to call nobody outside of the house to help you.
Tree a week can save you from the 10 million pills a day you're taking.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But again, you got to be true to yourself, and that's the self-healing. And last but not least, it helps you to connect with others.
Come on.
You have to learn how to understand what is inside of you, why it does not allow you to connect with others. Everybody does not stink. That basically means that something is going on inside of you that you need to actually self-correct, self-analyze, and then self-heal in order for you to connect with somebody who may love you, and you're blocking that love and affection because you don't have it within. And those are our 5 adopt self-healing, and that's our tree of the week. Back to you, Michelle.
Take part 1 and take part 2, family. You know what to
do. Listen, I'm gonna land this ship. So I want to thank everyone, especially Miss Keisha, for coming on again and giving us a wealth of information, because we know that we're all suffering in some kind of way, and what she gave us. And you should go back and listen to the week prior and put it together, right? So that you can
and Sister Michelle,
and
last year, the show we did with our sister last year. Y'all need that too.
There you go. That's right. So that's right. And all it means is just y'all need to go take a memory, trip down our Facebook lane, right? That's what that means, or YouTube, or whichever comes first. But either way, we're so happy, Miss Keisha, that you came on. You shared with the audience, again, your expertise, your understanding, and really your 10 jewels that I was able to share with the audience as you were speaking. But it does not mean that you should not look up our sister. Go to her, because we all have some kind of an issue, and let her try to walk you through the journey of healing.
Again, at least be a guide for you. Absolutely. Don't act like you know it all.
Because I know I do.
Definitely don't.
We'll throw it out there right now. But anyway, I just want to thank again the audience for coming. Please share this out. And again, these things are not free. So please remember to give a bit of your donation, your sharing and caring, because sharing is caring.
There it is.
There you go. Serbian Coalition.
Break out the phone right now. Right now. Break it out.
Break it out. Contribution today.
Any donation, we welcome. So just listen, 5, 10, 15, 100,000, we'll take it, right?
That's a nice jump there, Sister Michelle.
You can start singing, put 5 on it, but don't sing the rest of the song. Just put 5 on it.
Don't take them down that lane, Brother Tim. But either way, whatever you give, whatever you can do, we appreciate it. But again, what we bring you is priceless. So again, I want to thank you all for joining. We will see you next Thursday. And I'm your sister Michelle, the moderator, and I'll turn it over to Lau. We'll do some closeouts, and then we will fare you a very good evening.
Brother look, another one.
This is Throwback Thursday.
Throwback Thursday. How about that, family?
Shout out to our dear brother.
Keep saying no to those experimentational inoculations.
So I'll make my closeout brief, and while I'm doing it, Sister Kalila, if you can bring up that flyer about the Peace Summit taking place here in Miami. We got the West Coast and the Midwest coming down to the Southeast of Miami. And I talk about healing, dear family. I want you to really take a look at this flyer and what is going on. And our survival depends on our unity. I'm just closing out by saying, where will you see on a flyer at the same time, right? A regional minister, student regional minister of the Nation of Islam, a bishop, right? And Scientology master all on one flyer with a young brother who's lighting up the world so we can light up our life and light up our youth. So many of you who are on the East Coast, you don't get a chance to meet some of these dynamic brothers and some other things that are going to be going on that day. I'm just going to say I'm in the healing process, and I thank my sister for allowing me to reflect. And my last word to you, brothers and sisters, is you know how it goes. We're not a gang. We're not a clique. We're not a crew. You know we love you, but we are the Seven Region Coalition. Hope to see you in Miami on Saturday.